The Mercedes power unit gate case is heating up. And now I'll explain exactly how big the hidden chamber is and how the trick works. The secret microcavity in the Mercedes power unit combustion chamber zone is approximately 2.1 cubic centimeters, and this is enough to bring the compression ratio from 16 to 1 to 18 to 1. But how is this possible? There's an extremely thin orifice that connects the micro chamber with the combustion chamber, and when the engine works hot, this orifice plugs up and the cavity fills with fluid, canceling its presence. In static conditions, it passes checks with 16 to 1. In operating conditions, it rises to 18 to 1. And here comes the problem. Article C1.5 of the regulations says cars must satisfy norms in their entirety at every moment of competition. Not only during static checks, but for the entire duration of the event. Ferrari, Honda, Audi, and now also Red Bull are demanding hot checks with pressure sensors, and Mercedes threatens legal action. The FIA has complete power unit drawings and can calculate exactly the volume of the hidden chamber. Stay with me because I'll explain all the calculations and why Mercedes is truly in difficulty. The FIA has Mercedes power unit drawings and can establish with certainty whether there's a micro cavity or not. Starting from the idea it exists, as revealed by testimonies from some engineers present in Formula One and reported by German publication Auto Motor und Sport, this microcavity allows seeing respected limits of 16 to 1 in static conditions during official checks. The volume of this cavity, which is about 2 cubic centimeters added to the combustion chamber volume, brings the geometric ratio to remain within the 16 to 1 range. But in power unit operating conditions, there's an orifice connecting the microcavity with the combustion chamber, and this orifice plugs up during actual running. So this microcavity is as if it weren't there because it fills with fluid and cancels its presence completely. Consequently, ignition in the combustion chamber manifests only in the volume of what properly is the combustion chamber, which therefore is smaller than the sum of this same chamber plus the microcavity. And this is enough to reduce the denominator's value, therefore allowing having a more favorable ratio, 18 to 1 instead of 16 to 1 during actual operation. But there's a huge problem in this whole affair. Article C1.5 of the technical regulations. There's an article of the 2026 Formula One technical regulations saying the car must respect technical regulations for the entire event duration. The article says, cars must satisfy norms in their entirety at every moment of competition. Therefore, technical conformity isn't limited only to the verification phase, which Mercedes would have passed because verification is established to be static, but must be maintained continuously for all time and duration of the event itself throughout the entire competition weekend. Now, it's evident the nature of this cavity, the purpose of this microcavity, is linked to playing the game of compression ratio elevation. If Mercedes has this microcavity of which the FIA has certainty of existence because it has drawings in hand, and if Mercedes isn't able to justify it with another purpose, another legitimate aim that evidently shouldn't exist, then it's evident the doubt is concrete. And not for nothing, the front of Ferrari, Audi, Honda now also enriches with the fourth engine producer, which was Red Bull, which remained neutral before but now sides with the three manufacturers. So it's four manufacturers demanding clarity be made on the nature and employment of this microcavity. And only one is Mercedes defending the fact of having in hand approval of thermal unit construction drawings from the FIA, which certainly occurred. But Mercedes doesn't consider that where it should be ascertained that in hot operation, therefore in operating conditions, the compression ratio value is higher than maximum allowed, then we're facing a clear and evident violation of point C1.5 of Formula One technical regulations that could have serious consequences. And here I'll explain the precise calculations. Compression ratio is given by the sum of unitary cylinder displacement volume plus combustion chamber volume divided by combustion chamber volume. We easily know one term. The 2026 Formula One engine is a 6-cylinder with 1.6-liter displacement. So the cylinder's unitary volume is given by 1.6 divided by 6, therefore 266.6 repeating cubic centimeters. If we set the compression ratio equal to 16 to 1, it will come out that combustion chamber volume must necessarily be equal to 17.78 cubic centimeters to have a limit compression ratio given by the 16:1 value. But if we do the same calculation starting from the idea of wanting to have a higher compression ratio equal to the 18:1 threshold, which is what's said to have been obtained by Mercedes technicians through this trick, then we see combustion chamber volume drops to 15.69 cubic centimeters. So how big is the hidden chamber volume? It's the difference between 17.78 and 15.69. Exactly 2.1 cubic centimeters is the complete hidden chamber volume, including the connecting duct to the combustion chamber. FIA technicians certainly have complete Mercedes power unit drawings because they must homologate the car, so they know the drawings. So for FIA technicians, it's extremely easy to identify this hidden chamber and its connecting orifice, its extremely thin connecting duct to the combustion chamber. And they can, once identified on available drawings, calculate as I did exactly this hidden chamber's volume. And with this calculate, what's the effective advantage of compression ratio increase beyond maximum allowed threshold obtained by Mercedes power unit during actual racing conditions? They're trying through various meetings between engine manufacturers to define a procedure to allow hot verification of compression ratio measurement. It would be enough to insert sensors inside power units to establish whether in the moment maximum pressure is exerted, this is of magnitude greater than 16:1 during actual operation. If an 18:1 value comes out, which is extremely probable if the cavity's purpose is what we believe it to be, then Mercedes would inevitably find itself outside rule compliance. Not because it didn't pass pre-race verification, but because it would violate Article C1.5 of regulations in force during actual competition. How do we exit this situation? One solution could be that Mercedes shouldn't have to remake its power unit heads, which wouldn't be accomplished in time because perfecting Formula One competition engine head requires months and months of work and testing. One solution could be that Mercedes and Mercedes-powered teams accept using fuel with lower calorific power, in such a way to limit power loss effects. If this solution, which also seems easily practicable to me, shouldn't be accepted or practiced, then let's prepare for a true war of complaints at the Australian Grand Prix. Look, in my opinion, Mercedes is truly cornered. The calculations are extremely simple. 2.1 cubic centimeters of hidden chamber are enough to go from 16:1 to 18:1. And the FIA has complete drawings, can easily identify this chamber and calculate exactly its volume. But one thing is certain, the FIA demonstrated once again being exposed and inadequate. As already seen at Baku 2024 with Piastri's victory that gifted the Constructors' World Championship to McLaren taking it from Ferrari, also here the Federation isn't up to standard. We'll see, but Mercedes has a serious problem to solve, and the Australian Grand Prix could be explosive.